Welcome gamers to my most anticipated top 10 city builder / base builder games of 2024. So I'm really looking forward to a lot of these. Some of these are actually already out and some of them of course are going to be coming this year. I'm going to be going from my least to most anticipated. Well, actually not even my most anticipated, but I've got like a scoring system that I've been using for the various games, and so I've been looking at their user experience, user interface as one score, their replayability, because that for me is very, very important. It may not be important to a lot of you. This is why I don't do a lot of RPG style games or games that have got like scripted maps, like, you know, for example, Baldur's Gate, things like that. I don't really touch those sort of games because of that lack of replayability in my mind anyway. So again, courses for courses, and everyone's got like different perspectives, but I am rating these games on replayability. The third one is the actual overall game mechanics and gameplay, just how well they mesh together, how intuitive they are, how easy it is for someone to get into the game, how much of it is explained to people as they sort of come through it and makes perfect sense. This is why some of my favorite games don't actually rate very highly when I actually score them like this, because the actual game mechanics are probably overly complex, which I really, really enjoy. But when I'm rating them, I'm sort of thinking, I'm happy with my rating system, because I think it actually then presents games that are more geared for more casual players, if you know what I mean. I almost consider myself a professional game player at this stage, because I play so many different games, and so it's sort of one of these things where I'm trying to temper my own enjoyment factors away from the from essentially what is probably going to make it more appealing to a broader audience. So I'm very mindful of that. And then the last one is my own personal preference. And so I will be, with some of these, I will be going through what my actual favourites are as well. So when I come across a game that I'm really looking forward to myself, even though it may not be the winner of this category, I will actually let you know. And I'm going to start off with an honourable mention. So we're doing city builders and base builders. I've sort of classified them together. I don't play these all that often, to be honest. This is not really a style that I do play, but I know so many of the audience, or my audience out there, really love these sort of games, and so I do want to include them. I've had about 20 in the list. I've got a big long list of games that are coming for 2024, and but I do want to start off with an honourable mention, which is one of my games of the year for last year, which was Against the Storm, which is by far the best city builder that I've ever played, and so I absolutely love this game. I haven't done much recording of it, but I do want to give it an honourable mention for the simple reason I don't know if there's any DLC coming this year for this game. I don't know if there's any major updates. I sort of half assume there will be, but I don't actually know. And so from that reason, I didn't include it in the list. So this is not inside my top 20 list, for the simple reason I don't know what's coming for this one. But I do want to mention it, because if there was DLC coming from this one, or if there was a major update coming for this game, it would probably be at the top of my list. So I want to start off just by prefacing that one. Against the Storm, honourable mention, with the fingers crossed that more content comes in 2024. And I have made a commitment. One of my New Year's resolutions, one of many, is to actually play this game and actually do some solid recordings of this one. I've tried to record this a few times. I just haven't actually uploaded them. What I've recorded, I think I've got a fair few hours actually in the game. So I really enjoy the game a lot. So anyway, I'm highly, highly recommending this game to anybody who does. This for me is a 9 out of 10 type game. It's right up there. No game I would give a 10 out of 10 for. I don't think. I can't think of any that even 9 out of 10 is about the best I would give, and this is up there in that sort of category. So honourable mention for that one. Coming in at number 10 in my most anticipated games of 2024 is Ara History Untold. So I'll just read it out. It says, build a nation and lead your people throughout history to the pinnacles of human achievement. As you explore new lands, develop arts and culture, conduct diplomacy, and go head-to-head with your rivals to prove that you are the greatest ruler ever known. It's your world now. So what I like about this game, there's something I really like the look of, and some things scare the shit out of me. Not scare the shit out of me, but there's certain aspects that I'm suspicious of, which is why it's only number 10 for me. Should be probably a lot higher if it delivers on the promises, essentially, and really sort of does work. The thing I really like about this game is it's like a WeGo type system. So as you start to build things up, well, that's what it presents itself as. I think it does mention that. down here in the list of things. True simultaneous turns. This really, for me, is a major positive. So I'm really interested in the way this one works. I don't like games that have eras that they go through, and this one looks like it may have something along those lines to sort of then go through the different eras. So for me, I rate it poorly because of that. That's why I don't particularly love games like Civilization. And there's going to be a lot of games through this series, and we're going to be doing a series of my upcoming games of 2024, and this one just being city builders and base builders. But in this case, it looks like it does go through different eras. And so even though you're building basically a city and sort of adding different things into it and sort of building it up in different ways, there's so many unknowns for me with this one here. So I have rated it sort of accordingly. Another aspect I was a little bit worried about was the replay value. I didn't know if there was going to be a lot or not a lot. So that also, I pulled my replay value score down on this particular title. But as I say, I'm looking forward to it. The user interface looks great, and the user experience looks like it's going to be very, very exciting to play. But a lot of unknowns, so it's in my number 10. For number 9, I've got Beyond These Stars, which actually looks very, very interesting. So this one is build a city on the back of a space whale and learn to coexist as you journey through the stars. Manage intricate supply chains and the needs of your people as you build outposts, meet aliens, and uncover the mysteries of the universe. This sounds really, really interesting. Extremely interesting. Again, a lot of unknowns with this one. I like what I'm sort of seeing through this one here, like, for example, dynamic water looks to be a thing in through this side. There's a lot to like about this particular title. Again, looks great. It's one of the Hooded Horse games. There's so many great games that Hooded Horse have got their hands on for this coming year. They had a great year in 2023, and they're going to have even better games coming out in 2024. Anyway, Beyond the Stars. Easily could be my best game, best city builder of the year. I just don't know. There's again a lot of unknowns with this particular one, but it does look extremely interesting. I don't know why it's on a space whale. I've got no idea. It just really looks like it's going to be ticking a lot of boxes this year. If you have a quick look down and sort of see what it does actually have. Yep, so recovering from uncertain times, your peeps find themselves in the back of Kiwa, a lonely space whale journeying across the universe. Again, I don't know why that's there. I won't read all this. Fragile equilibriums, blah, blah, blah. I love this dynamic water system. Like, this looks very, very interesting. So journey across the universe. Yep, reliable outposts, travel companion. Yep, friends along the way. It just looks like it's going to be a fun game. It's a city builder, but with a whole other aspect to it, where there's something else that sort of is going out beyond, what you expect. So again, there's not much I can really say about it other than the fact that I'm really looking forward to this one. For my number 8 position, I have got Endzone 2. So Endzone 2 is a post-apocalyptic survival colony builder where you embark into secure humanity survival. So I don't know if you're building up one colony, multiple colonies. I'm not sure. Is it a base builder? Is it a colony builder? Is it a city builder? Or is it a 4X? I just don't actually really know much about this one. But it does look pretty cool. So discover and repopulate the last habitable grounds while the survival of your people hinges on your wits, foresight and resilience in a harsh and unforgiving world. Now, for my own personal preference, this is probably my least anticipated games of the top 10. Still looking forward to it if I can get my hands on it, but it's not really something that I sort of see as being core to what I would normally do. But when I rated all the other aspects, the user experience, user interface looks good, the replayability looks good, and also the game mechanics look very, very solid. So even though my personal preference would be lowish on this one, the rest of the scores actually really pushed this one up into the top 10. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't be the top 10 for me. But this is one of these things where I will point out where there's things that I'm not looking forward to, but I think that other people will be. Now, Farthest Frontier, I think is up to number 7, I think now. So Farthest Frontier actually has been out for a couple of years in early access, but it's due to go into an actual release this year, so in 2024. So So it's hitting the list in through here. Again, the interface looks really interesting. Looks like a great little game, sort of like a medieval. So protect and guide your people as you forge a town from untamed wilderness at the edge of the known world. Harvest raw materials, hunt, fish and farm to survive. Produce crafted items to trade. Consume, equip and fight as you battle for your survival against the elements and outside threats. So it sort of looks interesting. I haven't played it, but it was recommended to me actually by some of you guys in the community. So I thought I had a look at it and thought, actually, this looks pretty damn cool with what it actually does have. So it rates very positively. You can sort of see in through here. As I say, haven't played it myself, but it looks good. And definitely this is a city builder, colony simulator type game. So there it is, Furthest Frontier, releasing out of early access in 2024. And then we have probably one of the big ones of the year, actually, Frostpunk 2. It's only got a release date there of 2024, but this is sort of like a much bigger and broader brush strokes that is what was applied to Frostpunk 2. Sorry, Frostpunk 1, the original. The original Frostpunk actually was extremely well received. And so this will be, a lot of people will be looking forward to playing this particular game. I think this will be probably the top city builder for a lot of people this year. And that's saying a lot because this is a big year coming up for city builders. City/colony builders in through here. But again, interesting mechanics with Frostpunk 2. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. It's, again, not something that I typically play a lot of, these sorts of games, but what I've seen of this game, I like it a lot. So anyway, that's coming this year. What can we talk about with this one? Because this one is going to be one of the big ones. And I haven't really had a close look. So revisit the Frostlands 30 years after the Great Storm and face a new deadly threat to your city's future, human nature. So build your city on a new scale by creating entire districts with different purposes, industrial, scientific, etc. Ensure that all parts of the city work in unison with each other, like cogs of a giant resource-hungry machine. Erect this council buildings where you'll forge laws and of the growing metropolis, navigate between different factions and their ideas of the future, try to tame their ambitions as well as unrestrained thirst for power, and research technologies that will change the face of your city. So this sounds great. It sounds like it's internal politics that you're sort of manipulating along with specialisation within portions of the city, which the original game sort of had a bit of that, but this one looks like it really does take it to the nth degree to actually sort of have this whole, probably even like an RPG aspect running to the actual, to the game itself, which does sound good. What else there? Must not fall. Yeah, that's okay. Navigate between different factions as a steward, and so this will be probably, I guess, a secondary focus of the game. Sounds fascinating because it's not just purely a city builder. So if you like city builder, I actually one of my pet hates is a city builder where there's natural disasters happening all the time, and then all you're doing is just trying to click to put out fires or do things like that. This, for me, sounds much more interesting if you're actually playing a city builder where you're actually also then trying to manage the actual population, and I'm guessing crime, things like that would be a big factor of this. So it feels like it's more cohesive than just some random meteor sort of striking a portion of your city or some fire breaking out somewhere and you've just got to make sure you've got coverage with a fire station. Things like that I don't like, but this does sound interesting. Okay, entering number 5, I've got Universim, and this one has actually been around for a long time in early access. Again, I believe that this one is actually going to be coming into full release this year. But it seems very, very positive. And again, this is very, very popular, and again was recommended to me by a number of different people in our community. So as a game that they have enjoyed playing up until now. So anyway, expecting this to actually now hit the actual release. It does look like an interesting sort of game. I know not much about it, to be honest, but but the user interface does look interesting and exciting. So yeah, jumps straight into managing your own planets as you guide a civilization through the ages. Maybe I rated it highly because of the word planets. I do tend to gravitate towards those sorts of things, like build an ultimate empire in the Universim, a new breed of god game in development by Crevito. So yeah, this again is interesting, but this is what I mean about those sort of random destruction things. If that's overdone, I don't really like it. A god game is different. If it is a god game, a god game is different to a city builder. So yeah, maybe if it's a god game where you actually get to decide what actually happens with that, that does sound interesting. So you got like alien landscapes, etc., etc. So it does look like an interesting type of game. What else do we have with this one through here? About the game. Read more. Okay, so I want to participate. Yeah, blah blah blah. That's okay. So I want to be a god. Your time is coming. So maybe it's more of a god game than a city builder, but it does look like a city builder or a planet builder, probably more to the sense like a colony builder type thing. Your time is coming. Guide a fledgling civilization through the obstacles of life, from humble beginnings. Watch as they evolve and advance through the ages under your wing. Influence their decisions and punish the unfaithful in a wide range of godly abilities. Okay, so you're in control of that by the sounds of things. Interact with objects, create disasters, and launch clueless creatures into orbit. This is your world. Actually, that sounds like good fun, actually. Our goal is to bring back the features, so maybe it's more of a god game than a city builder. Anyway, it's snuck into my number 5 position. I'm going to keep it there because I don't have any other god games actually in my list for 2024. Story of the species. Yeah, this one just goes through basically a bit of backstory. I haven't read this sort of stuff, by the way. So planets in the Universim aren't just made up from a bunch of neatly arranged objects. Everything is linked together and plays a unique role in each planet's ecosystem. Every tree a civilization cuts down, every resource they mine, every animal they hunt will affect the world they're living in. That's really cool. A lack of trees and high levels of pollution will raise the global temperature over time, while reckless hunting or fishing might cause the extinction of some species. I like it. I think I'll have to get my hands on this one, I think. Because I haven't played it, and it was, as I say, just recommended to me. So, is it a city builder? Probably not. But it's number 5 anyway in my colony builder / god game category now. That we're going to add god game to the list of things that this video is all about. And actually, following on from the last one, this one's not strictly a city builder either. Is it a base builder? I don't know. It's more of a board game, and I will be doing a board games. Video as well, actually the best board game style games that are going to be coming out. This one really sort of just grabbed my attention actually, just as something when I saw it I thought actually this looks very, very interesting. Certainly has board game mechanics. It certainly does have like some sort of almost like a colony builder type aspect about it as well. So it's I don't know anything about it, but it's coming out in Q1 2024. And the publisher is Goblins Publishing, and they've had some pretty interesting games in their stable as well. So looking forward to this one as well when it does actually come. So become a villain in this retro-inspired board game. So draft terrain tiles, recruit monsters, build your dungeon, and become the Overboss. So you sort of I think that from what I can tell, it looks like there's sort of like a dungeon that you're constructing or that you're controlling, and then you actually are trying to get control of the overworld, which is the actual board game aspect of it. Which, as I say, looks really, really interesting. I do love board game style games, and this one looks to tick a lot of boxes for me. So it's loosely a colony builder, potentially. Anyway, it's hit my top 10 list at number 4. Number 3 is Songs of Six, which is actually going to get its release version this year. I think it's early this year too, actually, by the way. This is a game I've played a little bit of, but not very much of. You can see there, it's overwhelmingly positive, this particular one. It's always compared with Dwarf Fortress as a sort of like a colony builder / city builder. And so in that sense, it's something that... it's a game that I should be covering. It's a game that I should be playing. I will make a commitment to actually try to get in and play this one as it gets to release or gets close to release. In fact, I think that the release candidate is out now as well. So now is the time to pick her up, I guess, as a pretty awesome game. I've never heard anyone speak negatively about the game, and I've spoken, like a lot of people mention it as being an absolute classic, a must include type thing, particularly if you are into games like Dwarf Fortress. So this is very much a very involved city builder, very, very rich and rewarding. There's warfare involved and things like that as well. So it's again, this one rates so highly simply because the replay value is extremely high from what I can gather. It's random maps that you sort of are starting on, so you don't know what you're going to get, so you have to overcome different things, very much like Dwarf Fortress and that sort of style. Even the actual user interface is good in the game, and like my own personal preference for playing this one. I've got this one rated pretty highly as a game that I do want to be playing this year. So that's sort of why it has hit these lofty heights. I might just point out a few little things here, while we're still actually on this page. So Song of the Six is a fantasy city builder where you start off as an insignificant colony and build, scheme and fight your way towards a metropolis and empire. You are competing with a world around you, a bit like Dwarf Fortress in this sort of sense as well. The mechanics are complex and true to life, where small events can spiral into the collapse of kingdoms. Try the unlimited demo first. Yeah, so this is a... well, you can see they're overwhelmingly positive. This is a game that people really love once they start playing it. So it's yeah, what have I got? That number 3, I think, in my list. 3 or 4? Anyway, whichever one it is. It might be 3, I think. I'll have to see. I may have my numbers around the wrong way a little bit here. But anyway, it's up there. It's up there as one of my most anticipated games or colony builders / city builders of the year. Well, here we go. Actually, this is my number 3, which is Manor Lords. And actually, I had a look at my list. I've actually screwed up my list a little bit. Overboss shouldn't have been in the top 10 because, strictly speaking, it's not really a city builder or a colony builder. So I'll leave it in. I won't edit it out. I'll just leave it in there because it's still a game I'm really looking forward to, but it doesn't really fit the bill for this particular video. But number 3, I've got Manor Lords. So Manor Lords is a medieval strategy game featuring in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. Rule your lands as a medieval lord, the season pass, the weather changes, and the cities rise and fall. This looks very, very interesting. Like, this is actually something that a lot of people have been really looking forward to, this one. This is actually my personal most anticipated game in the city builder aspect for 2024. I love the fact that it's almost got like Total War type aspects to it as well. So it's looking great, this particular city builder. So yeah, for me, it's my number 1 personally, but for all of the various ratings that I've given different things, it's fallen in at number 3. So there we go, Manor Lords. I don't need to talk much about it actually, except I'll just point out again, this is yet another Hooded Horse game. I think I've got 3 or 4 of them in the top 10 here of this particular category, and across other categories as well in the other videos that will then sort of follow this one through here. So strategy, medieval, city builder, open world, great. Tick, 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 tick. That's why I'm really looking forward to playing this one here. Yeah, one of my most anticipated games of the year, not just in the city builder category, but really looking forward to this one through this other side. 26th of April 2024 is the planned release date. Looks awesome. Yeah, strategy game that allows you to experience the life of a medieval lord, grow your starting village into a bustling city, manage resources and production chains, and expand your lands through conquest. So inspired by the art and architecture of the late 14th century Franconia, Manor Lords prioritises historical accuracy wherever possible, using it to inform gameplay mechanics and visuals alike. Common medieval tropes are avoided in favour of historical accuracy in order to make the world feel more authentic, colourful and believable, which is, for me, awesome. Like, one of the things I think is really important about games is if they can educate and still actually not get in the way of the actual game mechanics, then I think that's a great, great thing. You learn so much from playing games, and I mean, you know, like, it's sort of a lot of people actually sort of think that it's a waste of time, but it's actually, you can get much, much greater historical reference or historical appreciation from games than you will from books or even from documentaries, because they don't immerse you in it. And these are the sorts of games that immerse you in the history. Even if you don't know that you're learning history, you are learning history. And I think that's awesome that it actually does do that one. So yeah, spreading outwards here, blah, blah, blah. So you start with the marketplace and just continue on growing. It looks like it's going to be absolute killer this year, Manor Lords. But I've put it in number 3 simply because my number 2 and number 1, I think, have got like things like where the user interface seems to be a little bit better, for example. I'm not sure about the replayability of this game as well, so it doesn't rate as highly as the other games in that capacity. So that's our number 3 is Manor Lords. Now, my number 2 is another bit of an unusual one. This is Factorio Space Age. This is not on Steam yet, as in terms that there's not even a page ready for it yet. It's just been announced last year, 25th of, the 8th, 2023. July, August, so 25th of August. I always get the August, Octobers sort of confused with those different things. Anyway, Space Age. So today we're going to talk about the expansion, which is called Factorio Space Age. So this is coming full Factorio. Looks really, really interesting, I think. So this is going to be one of these sorts of things, almost like there was like last year, for example, in 2023, there was a hell of a lot of base builders, city like colony builders set in space. And this, I think, just takes it that much further. I haven't found any coming out this year because I quite enjoy these type of games. But this is still a colony builder. You're just building it on an asteroid. Hey, we've got one of them where we're on the back of a whale, so why not? So in this case, I'm really looking forward to seeing when this one actually does come out. I think this will be an absolute monster. So it continues the player's journey after launching rockets into space, discover new worlds with unique challenges, exploit their novel resources for advanced technological gains, and manage your fleet of interplanetary space platforms. So Vanilla Factorio ends up launching the rockets into space, so I always expected it to be quite obvious that we were going to do next. Honestly, the space platform related gameplay was actually planned a very long time ago. So there we go. So anyway, there's a whole lot of different things in through there. Instead of spending one rocket into space, you have to send many. So I hope that we don't have. Hope we can start in space with this one. Anyway, that is my number 2. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think that'll be an absolute winner when it does actually hit. There's a lot of stuff there. As I say, no Steam page for this one yet. I'm hoping it does come this year, maybe 2025 or some other time. But it looks fairly advanced from what we can sort of see on this graphic. It does look good. Yeah, I think that's going to be an awesome number 2 if this one does actually come. It's not really a city builder, but it sort of is. It sort of is in my sort of category. It is. And my number 1, also just following through from games that really aren't strictly in the 2024 category, is Pioneers of Pagonia, which I haven't got my hands on. I will have to sort of try to get hold of this one. This is from the original makers of the Settlers, so they've actually sort of come together and put this one together. So the city builder Pioneers of Pagonia is all about exploration, discovery, and reuniting the fantastical islands of Pagonia. Build over 40 different buildings, use more than 70 different types of goods, manage widely branched production chains, and get creative in establishing your economy. So it looks like it goes back to the original Settlers, like Settlers 2 type era, which I loved. That was for me the high point of Settlers. So yeah, the fact that it's actually feels like a Settlers game is why it's elevated so high, in my opinion. So I'm really looking forward to playing this one through here. I think this could be the start of another series of games that sort of that sort of move onto the back of this particular one. I'm not sure if the actual release date is 2024. Let's assume that it is. And that way I can sort of justify with it coming out of early access in 2024, but I actually don't know. Look, it only released it just before Christmas, and so I have, like a lot of games were in my Game of the Year that technically came from the year before in my Game of the Year video. So, for example, like Dwarf Fortress and games like that, Master of Magic. So there were certainly aspects where they can come from the previous year. I'm going to put this into my most anticipated games to play in 2024. So Pioneers of Pagonia, I think from just the combination of all of the different things I've sort of seen with the game, like the user interface looks great, the replayability looks great, the game mechanics look awesome, and also my own expectations of enjoyment for the game is also very, very high. So on the 4 categories that I'm actually using, I'm sort of ticking all the boxes there. As I said, Manor Lords is probably my most anticipated game to play in this category, but Pioneers of Pagonia, definitely my number 2. So looking forward to trying to get my hands on this particular game and seeing what it does, because it really does look exceptional. So this one should be a good one, I hope. It's rated very positively already, 87%. That's good for this sort of game. That is a good start, and will only get better and better, I would assume. I like the idea that there is combat as well. I do tend to like these games with that aspect about it. I don't know how detailed that will be, probably not as much as what Manor Lords will end up bringing, but it's all good stuff. It's all great. So that's my top 10-ish. Okay, what have I got? I've included 2 games that aren't really city or colony builders in the mix, and I've given them fairly high ratings. One of them I shouldn't have even put in. I had them in the wrong category, but it was in my list from when I was talking about it, so I ended up talking about it. That was Overboss, so I'll leave that one in there, even though it's not really a city builder. And we've got the honourable mention of Against the Storm, just in case they actually do some more work on Against the Storm. I'll still be playing that this year because it's such a good city builder. Yeah, anyway, I think it's an interesting category for this coming year. There's some good games in here, some interesting aspects about what they will then go and do. I will be now putting out, probably the next video I'll put out will be my empire building list, because there's a lot of great games coming in that as well as, and in fact, Overboss will be in that, more in that category more than the colony builders. But also there will be, I'll be doing videos on my most anticipated space games, my sim games. I've got a lot of videos planned because there's so many great games coming in 2024. So simulation games, squad-based games, war games. There's a heap coming this year. So anyway, that's my top 10 city builder / colony builder games. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please consider liking and subscribing if you do like this sort of content. I will be probably scheduling these a little bit in advance. So if you are a channel member, like if you've subscribed to the actual channel, then have a look at that. So you may, you may be able to see the other videos before they release to the general public, because they will be scheduled but sort of showing for them. But I'm not exactly sure when I'll get these other ones recorded. Thanks for watching. I will catch you next time. Oh my God, what the hell am I thinking? This is actually my number one. I completely missed this from my list. KeeperRL is launching this year. It's going into final release this year. So this will be sort of like, I hope that they do keep on developing this game. This is an incredible game, just an amazing game. I've played it ever since it first came out, like basically, what's that, for nearly 10 years now. It's an incredible game, and it's one of these games that has just gotten better and better every year, and it's now going to be hitting the actual release of the game itself. Incredible replayability. User interface works very, very well. The game mechanics are really solid. Like if you like the old Dungeon Keeper, you're going to love this game. But it's got so many other aspects to it. Like it's got like an overworld where you build up your army in your dungeon and then sort of move them out to take on various different threats around the place. You do get invaded as well by things that are actually on the overworld. It sort of it takes where Dungeon Keeper may have ended up going, but makes it into more of a roguelike game that is just exceptionally good. So anyway, this is KeeperRL. I should really re-record my whole list. Treat the numbers with a grain of salt. This Manor Lords is still my most highly anticipated game personally for this category, but this one rates highly in all the other aspects. So I'm still looking forward to playing this one as well. There's like 0.5 difference between my enjoyment factor for what I'm anticipating for Manor Lords as opposed to KeeperRL. But this one just ticks the boxes in user interface, user experience, replayability, and also game mechanics. So it really is. It is actually my highest rated game in all categories for the whole of 2024. So just to put that into perspective. And yet I still somehow didn't have it on my phone. I hadn't ticked the box that it was a city builder or colony builder, and it definitely is in that category. So when I actually just reviewed my list thinking, I've screwed up this list, I've got the ticks in the wrong boxes, and I had this one in the wrong box as well. I've corrected it by at least adding it onto the back end of this video. So thanks for watching. Again, please like and subscribe. I'm not usually this disjointed for these sort of videos. I won't re-record. I was thinking, I'm going to have to re-record the whole top 10, but it's still a good list. I'm still happy with the list, and it would mean that I'd have to then remove a few of the games from the list, and I don't want to do that. So I've sort of covered my bases, I think, in so many different ways. As I say, next video coming out will be my top 4X / empire building games, and and I'll just keep on rolling out my top 10 lists into all sorts of different categories. Maybe some will be just a top 5, but this was a top 10 because there's a lot of work. There's a lot that I missed out on as well that I didn't even mention that are coming out this year as well. But I thought, look, I'll just keep it to a top 10 for the city builders. Thanks for watching yet again, and I will catch you in the next interesting or exciting video that will hopefully be a little bit more curated and put together than what this one actually was. I'll catch you next time.